So, this is a recording from one of my college events in which I talk about filtering out GSOC organizations and contributing to open source and my experience of MLH fellowship and how you can be an MLH fellow. And it's amazing, by the way, and my experience in open source in general, right? I really hope you find this video really helpful. And if you do let me know in the comment section and make sure you hit the like button. Oh, you know the drill. Okay. Yeah, let's get to the video.
Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another Fossil event. Hope you all are staying safe and doing good. Today we'll learn about how to start contributing to open source and participating in GSOC, which is Google Summer of Code, and everything about MLH Fellowship from the MLH Fellow himself, Arpan Abhishek. You all must already be knowing him, but if you don't know, let me introduce him to you all. Arpan is a 5th SEM CSC student. He's a web developer and has experience working with various tools, technologies, and libraries. He recently completed his MLH fellowship. More about it from the man himself. Before the MLH fellowship, he was one among the 24 students to make it to the very first batch of AICTE Corona Safe Engineering Fellowship. He's still working with them, and I myself made my first pull request in an event conducted by Arpan back in October 2020. And I cannot thank him enough for his active volunteering. Okay, enough of talking from my side. I shall let Arpan share his experiences himself. If you all have any questions, please feel free to unmute and ask or put them in the chat window. Over to you, Arpan.
Thanks a lot, Voya. So, hey everyone, I'm Arpan from 5th SEM CMRIT, and I have been very active in open source contribution during this year. Okay, and as Rakesh Bhaiya said, I was a MLH fellow this fall from September till December, where I worked for Facebook open source project PISA and SAP that was basically related to cybersecurity, right? And yeah, and I'm still working with the Corona Safe organization, and I'm still contributing to their open source projects. Yeah, so what should I start with first? Should I start with how to contribute to open source, or should I start with how to filter out the organization for GSOC? I guess that's the bigger picture, right? You all are must be excited for GSOC, right? So, what should we start with first?
I guess we'll start with GSOC and contributing to open source comes under that. So we'll start with
Right. So, should I share my screen?
yeah. Go ahead.
Uh, just a second. Okay. So, Google Summer of Code recently revamped their complete website, and I must say I'm not really a fan of it. But here they added past programs right in the navbar. Before we had to search through the archives and all. But here you can simply go to the 2021 program and look through the organizations that took part. Sadly, they don't have a lot of filters, actually any filter on their website. So it's a bit hard to, look through the organization that your skill is that is around your skill, right? So fortunately, we have another website called gsockorganizations.dev, uh, and there we have a lot of filters. Like we have categories, like if you're interested in AI data database or web development, you can filter through that. If you are looking for organizations that are around JavaScript and Python, you can look through that as well. um, is anyone saying anything? Okay. So yeah, but the flaw with this website is that it won't show you the current organizations, right? So for example, when I was looking at this website 2 months back, they didn't include the 2021 organizations, right? So when the organizations for 2022 are released, you won't be able to filter out here. So you have to, start before that. So um, the cool thing about GSOC is many organizations repeat themselves. Like you can see, this organization is coming from 2016, and it also came for 2021 and all the years, right? So there are, like, you can play a safe bet on you know contributing to these organizations that have come before, and they have a much higher chances of coming again in 2022, right? Obviously you can't predict them, but yeah, that's a safe bet. Okay, so let's see. I have chosen a about code organization. So the main important thing to look for is the IRC channel. This is a channel where you will be talking to the community, right? Here you can join the chat and like just talk with the mentors or fellows, those who are also interested in GSOC, right? So okay, we have a contributing doc. So every organization will be having a contributing doc, right? So which will consist of all the what do you say, the things that you need to remember or you need to follow to contribute to that open source, that organization, right? For example, when I was contributing to Facebook open source, we had to run a few linters before we commit our code. Like we had to run black, we had to run usort. Every organization has these set of rules that you need to follow, right? And that rules you can get in that organization's contributing doc, right? So fortunately for us, we I got to the link right in the chat. But if you don't find that anywhere, you can simply go to the site, the official site that you will find here, and look through that. And even if you don't get the contributing doc there, you can simply search on Google, right? Like about code contributing guide. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay. In the contributing doc, you will get where the public repos are, right? So here you'll be getting all the projects of that organization that you can contribute to, and this is where you need to get to start contributing actually, right? So yeah, that's how you get to that. And also the contributing guide, as I said, it will have the documentation, like what all you need to do before contributing and how you should contribute. So, and if you face any doubt, any problem, you can simply ask in the IRC channel. So all the help is provided here, and you will also get, I guess, the contact for mentors. You will also get here the email, contact email, so you can directly contact the mentors as well here. One another thing that you don't have in this website is that previous projects, right? Past projects. For that, you have to come here, search for the organization that you want. Like for us, it's about code. You have to click, go to that organization page, and basically look through the previous projects here, or the idea list that they published in 2021 or the year you're searching for, right? In that idea list, you will see all the projects that they are willing the students to contribute to, and the skill set that they are um you know preferring. So yeah, you can look through that, and also you will get the things that you need to add to your proposal. And this is the very important part for GSOC, because GSOC organizations don't take interviews or anything else. The only thing that will get you to the program is your proposal. So this is the most important thing that you need to remember, right? So here you need to add the previous open source projects that you worked on, you have contributed to, and add the links as much as you can. And yeah, the most important thing is the plan of your contribution. So every proposal should contain a timeline of the things that you will finish by the week, right? Let's say in week 1 you will do the community bonding part. In week 2 you will do something like create documentation for REST APIs or something like that, right? So you have to document everything week wise that you plan. And GSOC also has two reviews in between the program, like after 4 weeks and then after again 4 weeks, I guess. I'm not really sure about it, but they have two reviews, and you have to complete the things that you promised in a proposal by that review. If you fail to do that, you're basically, failing the program, right? So that's the thing you have to be very specific about. And yeah, so far, do we have any questions, by the way? Hello, guys. Anyone? No questions? Okay. Okay, so this brings me to another point. So many organizations say that they don't need any, previous contributors. Like you don't need to be a contributor to apply for GSOC. But I highly recommend that you don't do that. Please contribute, like, even little bit to that organization before you apply to that. I personally believe that that's the good thing. So you can, uh, you know, tell that organization that yes, you know the project that you're going to be working on, you have contributed to that, so you understand at least some part of it, right? Yeah. We don't have any questions right now. No questions? Okay. So sadly, this is the most I can help you with the searching of organizations, because after this, all depends on you, right? Because you will be searching for organization based on your skills, and this is an amazing website. Please go through that and look through the organizations that have at least come, I guess, 4 times previously. So that would be a safer bet. And once the organizations are released for 2022, you can look through that, which repeated, right? Yeah, that would be it from my side on GSOC. Next, about contributing to open source. So I'll tell you exact process how I contribute to Corona Safe, right? So I basically go to this repo, Corona Safe Care FE. So this is our flagship product which we are working on. It's the front end part. So it's built on React and TypeScript. And we have also used Rescript. You can see me right there. Okay. So yeah, I would come to the issues. Right now, we don't have any issues that I can work on. So basically, either Jijin, who is our tech lead, would assign, he has assigned me this issue, or I'll simply come here and comment, like, I want to work on, please assign me this issue, right? And then Jijin will assign me the issue, right? That's the whole process of getting an issue, right? Another thing you can do, you can look through the organization website or the app that the repo is, and you can find a flaw or an issue, right? So you can come here and create an issue, right? That also you can do. And there will be a lot of templates that you can start with, like it's a bug report or it's a feature request or security vulnerability, or you can start with a blank issue, right? That depends on the organization, that the organization has to set, so it may not be there, right? So you can start with a blank issue, create a title, and try to post as much information as you can here, and do mention that you would like to work on it or you are working on it, right? After that, you have to work, and I'm hoping that you guys are familiar with Git and GitHub. If not, please tell me. You guys are? Simple yes would do.
People are responding in the chat.
Okay, I didn't see the chat. Yes, okay. Okay, no questions, go ahead. Okay, okay, thank you, Rakesh. Yeah. Okay, so since you guys are familiar with Git and GitHub, so you basically have to create a new branch in your local repository. The good thing would be to fork this repo and then work on it. And yeah, so basically you have to create a PR next, right? And since you are familiar with GitHub, Git and GitHub, I would like consider that you can commit and push your changes to your own branch, right? After that, you need to come here, and when you recently push any change, there it will be a pop-up that you want to create a pull request. If you don't see that, you can click here, compare, and select your branch, and just try to post as much as information here as well. So it's easier for the people who are reviewing your PR to look through the code and understand what you have done, right? So yeah, that's the whole process actually of contributing to an open source. It's not like really tough, but yeah, that's the whole gist of it. Do you have any questions, or do you have any specific question that you want me to chat? I was audible, right? Voice is too low.
You are.
Yeah, okay. So, do we have any specific questions yet? Okay, no problem. If not, then that was it for contributing to open source and about MLH. So, uh, contributing to open source should not be limited to GSOC, because that's just a single program, and there are n number of programs that you can get into. For example, MLH fellowship is one of the, I'd say it is an amazing opportunity for anyone in tech, right? And they have actually three tracks. So just a second. Yeah, they have three tracks: software engineering, where you'll be working on a internal project. Like last year, for my batch, it was GitHub externship, which was I guess fellows worked on internal projects of GitHub. Production engineering is backed by Facebook, and I am not sure if they are doing it right now. Yeah, there are no upcoming batches right now, but open source fellowship will always be there, and uh, it has three batches around the year. I guess I have some network issues. Let me know if you guys can hear me properly. Okay. So yeah, the open source track is the track where you basically work and contribute to open source projects, right? They have three batches. For spring batch, it is a bit late to apply, but you can apply for summer and fall batch. This was the batch I was in, fall 2021. So summer batch is basically it runs in parallel to GSOC, I'd say. Yeah, and the fall batch runs in September till December. And here you don't have to write a proposal or something. You just have to write two essays and submit a application that you built, right? And the good thing for me, when I qualified Corona AICT Corona Safe Engineering Fellowship, there I created a capstone project for the uh, 10 weeks fellowship, right? And I submitted that exact application for the uh, fall 2021 applications, and I got selected. So yeah, that was, I guess, a bit of luck. So yeah, and yeah, then here it's not based on proposal. You have two interviews, right? The first one would be simple introduction interviews, like They just check that if you have good internet connection, good video quality, and basically this is a global fellowship, so you need to interact with people. So they will test your speaking communication skills, right? And the second interview would be for 15 minutes, and that would be a technical interview in which you have to explain the project that you submitted. So it's really essential that you know your project inside out. uh, yeah, that's the gist of it. That's the complete process. And after you qualify these 2 rounds, you are an MLH fellow. Yeah. Are there any chats? No. Okay. So that would be it from my side. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and talk to me. Stop screen.
Arpan, can you share your experience of your fellowship? Like what happens during the fellowship program?
MLH.
Yep.
So it is an amazing journey actually. So first week would be a simple hackathon. So you get to know your project. So you have to build something on top of your project. So I was working with, as I said, Facebook's open source project PISA, which is built around, which is basically a static analyzer tool. So I had to build something around it. So I built a SQL injection tracker. So if you have a Flask app and you have any SQL injections or vulnerability like that, so our app would scan through your code and statically analyze basically, and tell you that you have this vulnerability in this part of your code. Okay. And after that you start contributing to your project, and every week you have office hours where you can ask questions to your mentor. If you are facing any difficulty, every week you can talk to your every other week, every 2 weeks you can talk to your mentor and get career guidance. And yeah, and also one really cool thing that I found, that MLH gives you skill tokens, which basically you can use to conduct mock interviews, like technical interviews, behavioral interviews, resume reviews. And that is pretty cool because you won't get that like for free anywhere. And MLH gives you all this for free, and that is an amazing community with a great alumni and amazing pod leaders and maintainers. So that is a really transforming journey on its own.
Okay. Also, I wanted to mention some of the major changes in the current GSOC program. They are firstly, the timeline is a little flexible now. It's not like the timeline decided by the Google. You can make it flexible. You can mention that in the proposal, and you can accommodate for the exams and things like that. So that is one change, and the other change is that um, it's open to everyone now. Am I right, Urban? Not only just for students, university students.
Yes. Now, both the points are correct. It's open for everyone above age 18, and we have two types of projects now: medium project and large project. And even after submitting proposal, you can change your medium size project to a large project if you think that you would need some more time to work on it. So yeah, that's flexibility from this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Looks like no questions. All right. That's a wrap to this event. Do connect with Arpan. He also has a YouTube channel where he posts videos regularly. Arpan, if you can share the link, I think it's links.arpancodes.io.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So do connect with them, and as we saw how open source has helped Arpan in so many ways. I hope we all start contributing to open source and benefit from it. If anyone requires help regarding open source or anything else, do reach out to any of the Foster members, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks to Pushpa ma'am for making this event happen. And as always, a big thank you to all of you for joining. Looking forward for your participation in GSOC, MNH Fellowship, and not to forget Fossil events. Wish you all a happy new year in advance. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
If you have reached till here, do subscribe. Okay, bye.